Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Agency Operators Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Ganesh Singh of 3dimages.ai. How you doing, Ganesh?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited to chat. 3D images is not something that a lot of people talk about, and that's what you've dedicated your company to. So I'm excited to hear more about why 3D images are important. We see more and more of them showing up on Amazon. I'm still not an expert in that field. I don't have a lot of exposure to it, to be honest. So, yeah, definitely curious to hear more. Before we dive in, um, how did you get into the 3D space? Were you a CAD designer? Like, what's your background?
Yeah, it's really weird. I have a really odd background. I mean, I started selling on Amazon when I was 19. I sold a brand, went into the SaaS, made like a Chrome extension that analyzes Amazon reviews, and then that was like at the very beginnings of like ChatGPT when it first got released. And then I managed to sell that, and then I was like, all right, let me become a software engineer. So I became a software engineer for 2 years. And then I was like, no, I need to go back into the e-com space. That's really where my expertise is. And then a few people were telling me, all right, in the next 5 years, every brand needs a 3D model. We don't know why, just go and figure it out. So I've been doing this for over a year now, and when we first started, most brands couldn't get a 3D model, and I didn't. To be honest, we didn't even know what we were doing. We didn't know why three brands needed it or why they wanted it. What are the benefits? And slowly we started building them, started getting clients, started building up some cool case studies, and there's been loads of changes, like especially with AI and how Amazon is also changing. And eventually we were like, oh, okay, damn, like 3D is super important for e-commerce. And yeah, fast forward to today, we're like a Amazon supplier now. We're doing it for Shopify and loads of other things. There's load 3D is such a huge bracket. It's like, you've got your 360 viewer, you got virtual try on. There's loads and loads of brackets it comes under. So yeah, it's quite an exciting niche, and it's really odd niche because I feel like the only person, I feel like I'm the 3D guy in the Amazon space somehow. So it's super, super niche, but it's interesting.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people doing that, and I agree with you. Right? I believe that 3D and what Amazon is doing is sort of setting the platform for what's to come in the future, where maybe it's going to be like a virtual shopping experience, right? Like some kind of like virtual reality or augmented reality situation. Somebody can walk into an Amazon virtual store, pick up the item, look around, right? So it's a prerequisite for that to exist, right? It could be years before that's a reality, or maybe even sooner. Do you have any insight into the whole VR thing?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, another reason why we started this, because obviously, as you know, last year, I guess Amazon announced they had two main priorities, right? Which was we want to make our platform more personalized and make our platform more interactive. So we've seen since they announced personalized, I feel like everyone's been going crazy with, Amazon Rufus, which is now Alexa. They're doing a ton of changes in, how people are searching for products, how it's discoverable, and those sorts of things. So AI, like Amazon is becoming very, very personalized. The other side, which was the interactive side. So Amazon were like, all right, we need to make our platform more interactive because they see TikTok Shop who are like growing like 200 times faster, and they're like, damn, we need to stay ahead of the curve, right? So from a really, really high level point of view, Amazon are, they need to stay competitive. They need to get people staying on their platform for as long as possible. So how do they do that? Well, let's make the shopping experience super, super cool. So they obviously had 3D models, which was announced last year, but in that space, they've done virtual try on. They've got for shoes, even clothes now. They've got eyewear. I think they're going to soon do, hopefully, probably jewelry as well. So you can virtually try on rings and necklaces. The possibilities are endless with 3D. So yeah, they've been making their platform super interactive. And why is interactive? Why do Amazon want to make their platform more interactive? Well, it's because like obviously they want customers to spend as long as possible on their listings, on their mobile app, and that sort of thing. But it's mainly just engagement. It just helps brands sell more. And one of the biggest pains it solves is returns. Because like Amazon returns are like super, super costly. I know, like, I can imagine the nightmare you must have with dealing with returns, right? So it's a big cost to sellers, but it's a massive cost to Amazon. So obviously what even is a 3D model? If we dumb it down really into a basic level, it's the 3D interactive digital twin. It's exactly what you receive in the post. So you can't, customers don't have to imagine what their product will look like. You can literally see it in 3D. So, reduces a lot of returns for Amazon sellers. So it solves a bunch of problems for Amazon, and it has a lot of benefits for brands. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, managing expectations is a huge key, right, when it comes to mitigating review quality. And then, of course, saving money on the returns. That's a great point. On a technical level, where does it live? Like that's one question mark that I have is, I'm in the back end of these listings quite a lot, and I don't
Mm.
really see like a very obvious place where it's like update your CAD file, or like how do you get involved with even uploading that 3D system?
Yeah, so Amazon's actually A/B tested a lot with 3D in the past 4 months. I mean, we make hundreds of these, and they're actually A/B testing quite a lot. So with so in terms of finding the 3D model, previously what was on the listing was like a view in 3D button. So you click on the view in 3D button and you can interact with it in 3D. You can view it in your room, virtually try it on. I think most people know about that. 2 weeks ago, they actually scrapped the view in 3D button. So you actually they removed that button completely. So now if you swipe across the main image, a 3D model appears there ready for you to interact with. So they're actually just now embedded 3D models directly in the image carousel. So
Hmm.
that is huge. That is absolutely huge because I mean, to be honest, I can ask you a question, because it's like, in terms of a listing, are so images are obviously the most viewed, the most viewed visual asset on a listing, right? Like, if with most products, the brands take their images most seriously. Is that what you've come across in your agency? Like, customers are seeing the images are like top priority in terms of like what
Yeah, it's
customers.
above the fold. It's visible right away when you come onto the product detail page. And so we really push and emphasize on infographics because it's a combination of the visuals but also the unique selling points, and that's essentially what sells the product. And you're right, in that image carousel at the end there's that video. So if you can have after the video a 3D model, that just keeps them in that whole spectrum for a longer period. And then it really does solidify, okay, well, I know about the product. I've seen the product in action through the video, but now I'm able to actually rotate it as I want to,
Mm.
and really get a feel for like what are the dimensions, what is the real size of it. So I can see how that can help with the conversion rate.
So like, so would you say, in terms of the brand, that obviously the brands you work with, like, if, for example, a brand gets 100,000 clicks on their listing every single month, and let's say 10% of them spend, an extra, they double the time spent on that listing, would you say logically that increases conversions? If they spend more time on their listing,
Yeah,
more engagement, that will increase conversions.
yeah. Or increased conversions leads to better ad spend, and
Yeah.
ultimately the business can grow. So anything that you can do. And that's one thing that I see just by speaking to lots of different brands is that they don't have all the modules filled out as is. There's very few brands. I mean, once you get to a certain size, you start to understand this, but there's a lot of people with missing fields in the back end, not even using A plus, or if they can, A plus premium, not having a video, not having a storefront properly set up. So the fact that there's modules missing is just an opportunity to keep somebody on your page longer, because once they go down the rabbit hole of learning about your product, they want to scroll through all of the different things, right? Before they
Yeah.
make a purchasing decision, especially if it's a high ticket item.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, yeah, and that's really the biggest change. So like, since Amazon announced that that they put 3D models in the image carousel, so like literally as soon as you swipe up the main image, it's there. We've had really weird orders. So we've had like plates and cups for like orders for like 3D models, or nail files. Basically now
Mhm.
everybody wants a 3D model, because now they're understanding that, all right, everyone, all my customers are spending the most amount of time on my images. I have the ability to now add 30 seconds, to a potential customer who might be interacting with a 3D model. So, for some brands, let's take worst case scenario, it's a 0.1% increase in conversions, right? For some brands, that's huge, right? It's huge. It can be the difference of like, thousands in revenue for your brand. And, as we know now, like, if you can increase organic revenue, the externalities are crazy, because now, all right, I've increased my conversions. Now I'm more discoverable organically. Now Rufus and Alexa now can, you'll appear more on those. So there's massive chain effects that happen when you put a 3D model in, because it is just a fixed cost. So Yeah, since Amazon's new update 2 weeks ago, yeah, we've just seen loads of sellers just want a 3D model now because of that engagement. It's just an engagement hack. So yeah.
Very cool. So do like somebody comes onto your website and they hook up their Amazon page and then they put in an order, hey, this is my ASIN, could you do a 3D model? What do you require from the brand? Do you guys handle the uploading with Amazon like through like a direct API, or how does that work?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, all we need from a brand is images of your product from all sides. So, to be honest, what I might tell you is the four ways to get a 3D model and why this version is the best. So, there's four ways to get a 3D model. There's at the low end, there's using AI. So there's actually AI tools out there where I can take a picture of your product, it will create a 3D model. The tech isn't there yet, and Amazon's QA process is extremely strict. Like we had such a nightmare when we started because they actually will check the pixel of your 3D model, check it against your main image, and if the color doesn't match, they'll just reject it. Or if the size
Hmm.
doesn't match, they'll reject it. So like when we first started, we were like, oh yeah, we can get this done cheaply. Let's go and find someone online, right? And it took 5 weeks to upload like a basic 3D model. Like it was just a nightmare. And then it ended up, becoming super expensive because they're like, oh, Amazon's rejecting it. I need to make changes. I need to do revisions, and now I need to charge more and more and more. So it's just been a nightmare. So yeah, AI was the first version, which can't be uploaded to Amazon, but it could be good for like Shopify if that's something you're interested in. If it's quite a basic product, it could be like a cup, for example. So that's the first version. Second version is using a LiDAR scanner. Now, these are like really, really expensive. These are things, I don't know if you've heard of companies like Omi, there's a few others, and they're like $1,000 per product. Doesn't matter what the product is, it's just $1,000 per product. And it's like massive machines, but it's like pixel perfect. So that's like really expensive on that end. And the third one is actually using your the mobile app. So I don't know if you remember, Amazon had a feature on the mobile Seller Central mobile app where you can like scan it with your mobile. You go around your product a few times. It can't do it, like it can't do most things with text, and the actual app, I think they said, oh, it can take up to 4 weeks to processing, but it doesn't work with like most products. It probably could do like a very basic product. But there are apps out there where you can use your mobile to like scan your product, but the quality still isn't there. And yeah, just purely because Amazon's QA process is extremely tricky. So what we found is the best way is getting a 3D artist who's Amazon compliant. Now, what is Amazon compliant? Well, it's like they know all the QA. So the easy part is actually making the 3D model. 70% of the time is actually the QA. So cross-checking the colors, checking the sizes. There's loads of things about polygon count. I can go into all of that, but there's just so many things. We have like a 200 page document of Amazon's compliance, and they actually don't publicly tell anyone about any of this. So we've had to discover it for ourselves. So yeah, it's getting someone who's Amazon compliant, 3D artist. We have over 150 of these 3D artists. So yeah, you can go on a website, take a picture of your product from all sides. You can get an instant quote, and that's it. And yeah, we have like volume discounts and variation discounts and those sorts of things. And yeah, it's quite simple.
And so the the artist would make the drawing by hand
Yeah.
and then upload that, and they would probably use a system like a CAD system, right, like to do the 3D drawing, and all they really need is a video of all the angles or pictures of all the angles.
Yeah, they just need, yeah. So they'll look at the Amazon listing. If there's images of your product from all angles, they can just use the Amazon listing. But most Amazon listings don't have images from of their product from all angles. So they'll just build the 3D file, and yeah, we can upload it to Amazon because we're obviously SPP verified, or you can upload it to Amazon, and then if it gets approved, it's straight away on your Amazon listing. It probably takes around a couple hours to go through QA. Some of them have been 3 weeks, depending on the complexity of the product. But yeah, if Amazon come back with feedback, you just send us the feedback and we just update it and until it's approved on Amazon, basically. But yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. Does that kind of make sense of how it's?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's pretty straightforward.
yeah,
I think the LiDAR thing is interesting, but you would have to send it into a special lab, obviously, that has the machine, right? So there's a bit of a process there. This seems more streamlined, and I can see how AI can't really figure it out. Like this reminds me very much so of like back in the day, I used to have a really great 3D artist that I would go to whenever we needed, like say we took on a client that doesn't have a photo shoot. So we would ask them to use their cell phone camera and send us all the different angles of the product, and we'd
Yeah.
ship those images over to a 3D render artist who would create with skins, with like a real image. It looks better than as though you did the photo shoot. And then of course you have the on a white background, and then you can Photoshop that into lifestyle photography, and that was like the best during that time. And it's essentially that's like a 2.0 version of that. I'm sure the tools and the tech has gotten better to maybe expedite some of that process. It's not done by hand every single pixel, but um, it's a similar process, but except in this case, you're not doing with the skin, are you? Or you are, like the colors, everything is there.
Yeah, everything's there. So like literally imagine you've got a digital, if you're holding a product in your hand right now, imagine like a digital version of that. So the same texture, same material, same color, size, like it's literally a 3D file of that exact thing. And I think our goal was to be, because we experienced these pains, it was just to be the most accessible, right? Most accessible. It's we know at the other end it's $1,000 per product. For some brands that might make sense, but it's not accessible. For if you've got a catalog of 300 SKUs, do you want to pay $300,000 for 3D models? Probably not. But at the lower end, we just want to be accessible, and that's what most sellers want, and that's why we're here.
And what's the price point that you guys offer in that case?
So we have so it depends on complexity, firstly, right? So obviously, if I do a 3D model of a cup, which is quite easy compared to a 3D model of, I don't know if I pick up something in my room, I don't have anything right now, but like something like a hair dryer, for example, loads of components, loads of materials, shapes. So it first depends on complexity. So low complexity would be something like 100. It was like around $199. But let's say it's like you have the same product, but it's a different shape, different color, or different size. We can just do the extra one for like $50 or something like that. And we have promotions like going around like every single month, and and so forth. So it's pretty accessible at that price point. We're obviously not the cheapest. We're not like super dirt cheap. And if you want to spend 6 weeks uploading one 3D model to Amazon, you can go and do that. But we just prioritize speed, quality, and just reliability. That's probably the main thing.
So you guys will do the 3D model, get it to the client over for approval, and then you guys do the uploading, and that's all covered in your charge.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if they want us to do uploading, we can, and yeah, otherwise most people can just upload it themselves.
Cool. And if somebody was interested in this, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, I'm available on LinkedIn. Our website is 3dimages.ai, and yeah, you can basically book a call with me anytime. We have a few days left of a promo. It was a May promo, which was it expires in 5 days. I don't know when this podcast will be released, but it's like basically 30% off your first 3D model, which is super accessible. And yeah, that's basically where you can find me. And my email is Ganesh at 3dimages.ai. So yeah, I'm here if anyone needs to chat, basically.
Love it. Well, I think you guys are doing something very unique, and there's not many people out there offering this. And like you said, it's kind of the future. We're going to see more and more of it. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything, Ganesh. And to everyone listening, you heard the guy. Take advantage of the promo. All right. Well, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, no,
any
thanks. I appreciate it.
any last comments before we close the stream?
Oh, is it still live?
Yeah, we're still live.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that's it's all good. I mean, yeah, I mean 3D. What I guess final comments is 3D is an exciting space. That it's 3D models for Amazon now, but 5 years down the line, it might be there's things that will be virtual try-ons, virtual showrooms. Just if it's an exciting space, so if there's any news and all that, it will be posted through my LinkedIn. So I think it's an exciting space to stay ahead of. That's my closing statement.
Cool. I'll be tuning into your LinkedIn.
Cheers.
All right, Ganesh. Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.